Hello, my name is Melvin Montalvo Otero, and today I will be talking about a very interesting topic, which is the Berlin Wall, the rise of this wall, and then the fall. I hope you like my presentation. The Berlin Wall, also known as the Iron Curtain, was a very large barrier that separated East Berlin from West Berlin. In this image, we can see the middle line that is representing the huge wall. Why was it created? Well, first, we gotta go back in time to see its origins. It all began after the World War II. After Germany's defeat, Berlin divided themselves into two regions. The Federal Republic of Germany was the democratic and independent part of Germany, formed by British, French, and American zones. Just as you can see in this image, right here we have the west side of Berlin. And then, in the other hand, we have the east side. The side was the socialist state, with the government being the Soviet Union. The east side was also known as the Germany Democratic Republic. Why was it constructed? Well, now you will see the reasons for its construction. After the east side fell because of the Second World War, the Cold War began. So thanks to the beginning of the Cold War, while the West Side economy was growing, the East Side economy was slowly declining. For this reason, people began to emigrate because they knew that on the West Side they would find work and prosper better than on the East Side. The Berlin government began to have many problems since while its economy was in decline, there were no jobs available, open shops, or factories that would truly generate enough money for the city to survive on its own. Upon realizing this, the East Berlin government decided to create some laws and restrictions to prevent citizens from fleeing. Although it did not work for a long time, they raised the prices of transportation and included taxes on all expenses related to emigrating from East Berlin to West Berlin. By 1961, approximately 3.5 million of people had fled to the west of Berlin, that making an estimated, according to the population of that time, that number of people are equivalent to approximately 20% of the population of the German Democratic Republic. With the passing of the time, they realized that although the cost of emigrating to the west of Berlin increased for society, even so, the citizens continue to do so, and that is why on August 13 of 1961, the government of Eastern Berlin began to build the Iron Curtain. As soon as they began to build the wall, people made demonstrations, tried to flee, and even came to face justice, but they could not really do anything since this had been a decision of the government of East Berlin. Extending some 27.5 miles on the border between East and West Berlin, and with about 70 miles in a round trip, the first version of the Berlin Wall was built. It was made of barbed wire and mesh fencing. After 4 years with the same structure, they decided to change it, since with the ones they had, people escaped through windows or simply jumped the fence. This second attempt was the one that paid off. A 3.6-meter high concrete wall that had a completely smooth pipe on the top edge to prevent them from escaping. With the passing of a few years, barbed wire, spike strips, and guard dogs were added to this barricade. Apart from all that security, they also put 302 watchtowers, 20 bunkers, and a fence that separated the wall about 100 meters from where the watchtowers were, and between that fence and the wall there was only sand. They called this space the death strip, and the soldiers had orders that if someone got to that point, they had permission to shoot and kill them. Although the Berlin Wall was in place, still 5,000 of people approximately left the country between 1961 and 1989, some being athletes or businessmen, and others, who were actually the majority, managed to escape by digging underground holes, swimming through the sea, navigating airships, and even it is said that stealing a military tank and collapsing part of the wall. As I said earlier, quite a few people managed to get away without a problem. However, although many managed to escape, some 138 failed and were killed in an attempting to escape for a better future. Worst of all, some were killed in the sight of West Berlin citizens who could do absolutely nothing to save or help them. Most of the people who ran away did so in fear of being seen by the Stasi. Many citizens who had plans to escape were caught before even putting their plans to the test by the Stasi as well. The police in many countries can be recognized with the naked eye. However, many communist countries have undercover police officers. Germany was not the exception. Specifically in East Berlin, the Minister for State Security, or better known by its acronym, the Stasi, was an association of undercover police officers whose purpose was to catch people who did not agree with the oppressive communist government system, who were fugitives from justice, or anyone that attacked the government dictatorship. They were characterized by being strong and rude people. One of their strategies to catch citizens who did not meet their expectations was to be dressed as civilians. They would pass you by like normal people, and if they heard you talking about the bad government, they would physically abuse you, and then they would take you to jail. The Stasi was also known for collaborating with terrorist acts throughout the world. To this day, the Stasi is still believed to be one of the most effective intelligence service organizations in the world. After the fall of the oppressive communist government, the organization also broke down. The Stasi was such an important organization that even the East Berlin flag contained the organization's logo inside. In this image, we can see the logo of the Stasi. As you can see, it contains a firearm and a hand holding it, and on that firearm is an East Berlin flag attached. Below, we can see that it says the name of the organization, which, as I said before, it is called the Ministry for State Security. Now, I am going to tell you a little story about some of those people who managed to escape, only that they did not do it in a traditional way, and they managed to be more creative. Now you will see. One of the best known stories of how people escaped from East Berlin was that two united families who managed to escape without problems. These families were the Wetzel family and the Streltsy family. The men in the family who were Gunther Wetzel and Peter Streltsy were tired of being oppressed and made a decision about their future and about the future of their family. They decided that they had to flee from the region where they were, which was East Berlin. The question that they asked themselves the most was how they were going to achieve it. They realized that the most promising way to do it was by building their own hot air balloon. Then, about 6 months of working on the project, and after having had two unsuccessful attempts, they managed to build a third hot air balloon with the characteristics of the things that did work on the first two attempts. On July 3rd of 1979, they managed to put their homemade craft into flight. After takeoff, they had some more inconvenience. However, after a great landing and falling in a tree, they managed to cross. They realized they were already on the other side when they saw machinery from an American-made factory. Those 8 crew members, who were members of both families, reached the other side safely. Today, of those 2 men, only one is alive, and that is Gunther Wetzel, since the other died in 2017. The story of the hot air balloon was so famous that even a movie was made by Disney in 1981 based on their story. Now, after that short story, we are back to our main topic, which is the Berlin Wall. With the passing of a few years, the region's economy was stabilized thanks to the immense wall. Although the economy was better, citizens were disgusted with the situation, and East Berlin received a very bad reputation. They received the reputation for how horrible and cruel communist oppression could be in the world. In 1972, East Berlin decided to make a deal to allow families visits to the West. Although they began to include taxes and charge high prices just to try to prevent people from going west, and they succeed in doing so for a while. In the late 1980s, citizens were tired of being oppressed by the government and feeling compelled to stay on that side of Berlin, so they decided to end the oppression. They started with small protests. As the days went by, it turned into a massive protest. In these protests, only free travel tickets were required as before. Justice and democracy. The police tried to calm them down. However, it was not so easy. On the evening of November 9th of 1989, the country's news began to spread messages that now being able to travel would be easier. They did this to create some kind of tension. At the end, they succeed, although they probably did not get the expected reaction of the people. Thanks to the past action, we now have the fall of the Berlin Wall and the events that happened during its demolition. People began to arrive at the wall in the form of joy and happiness, since they thought they could cross without problems. After several hours of demonstrations, the police who were on the wall decided to open the doors, since they could not continue controlling the crowd. While many ran to the west side of Berlin to see family, friends, or simply to feel free, other citizens were breaking down the wall with all kinds of objects they found, from hammers to pieces of metal were used to bring down the wall, and although the police tried to stop the chaos, it was too late. In 1990, the German government decided to do the right thing, which was to tear down what was left of the Berlin Wall. Today, only small parts of what was once the old wall remain. These pieces still stand as a symbol of the freedom that was achieved thanks to the fall of the oppressive communist government of East Berlin. Whoa, I don't know about you, but all of this topic about the Berlin Wall, it just led me thinking that Germany spent almost 4 decades with a barrier that not only separated two regions of a city, but also separated the entire world. While this giant wall still stood, the people of West Berlin lived a better life. They were free, and apart from being free, they also received help from other countries. While in East Berlin there were only soldiers, a certain degree of poverty and anguish, in the West Side there was freedom, happiness, and an incredible system that allowed it to sustain itself thanks to the citizens and their contributions. Many people might think and wonder, how is it possible that a country is so controlling, oppressive, and harmful as to do all these evil things that the dictators of the East Berlin government did? But yeah, all of this was true. I don't know, just think about it. A very interesting fact is that not many people know what was truly one of the greatest symbols of the Cold War. Although many people do not know the history behind this historical monument, there are other people who every year meet in front of the wall and visit it. There are people who every November 9th go to the ruins of the wall in symbolism of what their past generations achieved at some point. If it hadn't been for them, that wall probably still existed, and even the Germans would live under a political regime of injustice and oppression. Now, here you have the conclusion of my video. This story leaves us a lesson, and the lesson is that freedom is a right that must be fought for. Thanks to the fact that the citizens of the region fought for their right to freedom, today, the inhabitants of this town can feel relief, since they do not have to be thinking that they cannot leave this town just because of incorrect decisions made from the German government. This historic event also teaches us that there is no worse fight than one that is not attempted. Even if you fail, you must always have hope, and you must fight until the end. Now, this is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching my video. See you later.